We're back.
We're back.
We're both alive.
Yeah, here we are.
What a roller coaster of a year. What a roller coaster of a time. We took a little hiatus there due to our 2020's lovely cousin, COVID-19.
I think we made the decision. If you guys wonder where we were, we try to. I mean, with my industry and with yours, it's been all Zoom meetings, and so I just had enough, and I kind of didn't want to do a show that looked like that.
No. Yeah, no, it is, I think there's a certain level of quality, and quality speaks to a certain degree.
Yeah.
That you just can't sacrifice.
No.
And that was not going to be.
Yeah. So if it means people don't hear from us for 3 months, whatever.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But I have to say thank you to people have been following us. People have been been engaging with us on Facebook and so on. Just so that's been super great. Despite the fact that we weren't putting out any new content.
Yeah.
But
watching, it's comfort watching.
It's comfort
because
watching.
If you watch something and you know it's not going to get any worse. Feels good.
Exactly. You're watching
as opposed to, the news.
Yeah. You're watching our content from a better time.
From a better time. That's
and
right.
Really, we wouldn't have had really much else, anything like good to report or to talk about because it was just, everything's just been such a disaster. Like this, 2020, I have people I love some of the memes that are coming up, but they're saying, I think I'm just going to put my Christmas tree up now and call 2020, call it done.
My favorite, another good one was the when SpaceX sent up the astronauts, and then they're like, I decided to leave Earth. Good call.
So I mean, honestly, this has been such a crazy.
Yeah, I think the gut punch was 3 months ago. It was probably almost 4 months ago now that we did the last episode.
Yeah, March. Oh man, no.
Was it March?
Maybe it's February. Yeah, it's been a while.
And the title of that episode was It's 2020 and Everything's on Fire.
Yeah.
And you think it would have gotten better since that episode, but...
And I think we were kind of at the intro of COVID at that time.
Yeah.
Like they were reporting it in Wuhan, but nothing was had really moved over because we had discussed about some of the missing reporters and just kind of how China has kind of this crazy just
information just blackout
it's just
they
kind
decide what goes out
exactly and we're just talking about how crazy that is and and how lucky we are here, and then it's a week later it's don't leave your houses, and
I love it man, we're so lucky here, and then it was just
but the whole world, the whole world this is it's a milestone in history because it's the whole world, and
I really don't think at this point in the game I think I don't know if we're really gonna talk about it on the show until I want to wait until some analysis is done months from now or until people start to look at the data and look at the numbers and look at the response and just kind of, and then we can speak about it. And then we can, speak with the benefit of hindsight versus now.
There's so much mixed information out there that it's you could say one thing today and tomorrow it's totally false. Or, you could say something that's totally false today and it's totally
and it becomes real
right tomorrow.
Yes,
that's what this whole thing, and I think that's been the biggest frustration for everybody.
Yeah.
It has been just what is the truth? What isn't the truth? What is reality, what isn't.
Well, and you have and maybe that is the reality. Maybe the reality of it was every city, every town, every country was so different that there isn't, maybe there was no, maybe there wasn't. You just can't have, I have people I know in the health industry that are, you have one nurse or doctor in Toronto or New York or Quebec, and they say it's a war zone out here. There's people keeling over in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then you have, and then I have anecdotal evidence from people here, that are we have entire wards that are empty.
Yeah.
We've been standing around. You know, we have empty beds. We have, you know, this and that. It's like, and maybe it's both true. And you know, maybe they're both true.
Then you got like the whole argument on like media and like what is media overblowing for sell, or what is media, you know, like just,
what are they underreporting for to keep panic in check? What are they overreporting for clicks? What are they?
Well, like and again, we won't know. The narrative that they give it in can really explode things or undermine things.
Yeah.
I mean, like a few things that came up in my mind is like, well, where are you guys getting your facts?
Yeah.
Like, because we, at the end of the day, like, for the most part, I mean, I guess that's not true. In some places, we were hearing it directly from health officials. So, like, you know, when our Canadian health officials would actually take the microphone and say, like, all right, well, like, that's fact, that's coming from, it's not being filtered through a media outlet.
Yeah.
But the one thing that this whole kerfuffle, I'm calling COVID-19 a kerfuffle,
to put it mildly.
Right. But the one thing I definitely see that we should learn from this is we are nowhere near prepared on a global scale for a global disaster like this. Because the chaos, there were some countries that, you know, that being said, there were some countries that they knocked it out of the park. You know, you look at New Zealand, even like Taiwan, like they really got it together. Hell, India did a pretty gnarly job at keeping things under wraps. But then there's are we hearing
what are we
the whole
hearing?
Story? So there's just
there's
just
Sweden
so
who did basically nothing.
Right.
And their numbers kind of look the same as everybody else's. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think it was like,
but then is that those people are, but then, you know, there's other factors. Those people are different.
Yeah.
Like their lifestyles are different. Our lifestyle is different than somebody in New York. They're stacked 50 stories in apartments.
But look at Japan. Like, I mean, Japan, you want to talk about stacked.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like, I mean, Japan is like, like there's and it's paper walls for the most part between one another. Like, there ain't much keeping much out over there. And you want to talk about the circulation of air. You might as well be living on it. You might as well be living on a cruise ship and, you know, on the continent of Japan, because that's pretty much Japan.
But
we won't dive too much into this because it's, like I said, or like you said, we just don't know all the facts yet. And there's the people who should know don't know either, and that's another part of the scary narrative. But so 2020. You know, we started the year off with, I'm not going to say that, that's so bad, but we started the year off with just a kerfuffle again with the planes from Iran.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, 4 days into the new year. And then we go into, I've lost track of all the disasters
I know,
that have happened. And then we came into COVID to kind of top it all off. Then we killed with murder hornets.
Yeah. Luckily that fizzled.
That fizzled quickly.
Quickly.
And then now we've got like the political unrest specifically down in the States, more so than anywhere, but it did boil over into the rest of the world, rightfully so. I think like the education campaign that's going on right now, unfortunately, that was a result of you know, the racial, the still existing racial profiling and racism that goes on in the world. It's good that the education's happening. I think that the conversation, I just hate that it's a conversation that consistently has to be had.
Yeah.
Like, we just can't seem to get out of this.
They can't, well, it's
and like, when I say that, it's not that I'm like undermining the fact that it exists. It's just, it's like, we just can't seem to like get it.
It's the chicken and
our heads.
I feel like it's always the chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of, you know, do we know where in the cycle we still haven't picked the right spot to attack? I feel like that's the thing in the cycle of in the issue. Like, where do you know, like, what does it take? You know, you talk about education and, you know, how do you solve a problem that it's that complex? Well, in that sense,
I agree,
because I think it's way deeper rooted than the individuals who are who are racist. You know what I mean?
See, my argument goes with, and because okay, we go and we have those conversations about politics, and we say like, there's just some people that no matter what, they will tell you this cup is black. You could be like, but the cup's white. And it's like, no, the cup's black. And like, there's just those people you can't argue with.
Right.
And you will never convince them because their mind is just...
It works that. Is just that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that is where these racists...
That's them.
Fit,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Where it's just like...
nothing you say is going to change
Nothing you say is going to change them. And it's I personally, it's just the reality.
Yeah.
And there's no amount of talking, there's no amount of actions, there's no amount of protests that will change. And there is, I don't think it's as big a group as I think the media blows it up to. It's a small handful of people that are just that person, but that person is so loud that they stifle. And I compare it to the, how come the one person that can take over a bus of 50 people or the 4 people that can take over a plane of 250 people.
Yes.
They are able to push fear. And the fear always dominates the meek.
Yes.
So the thing that's great about this now, and I've talked to a few other friends about this, is the unity that's happening. But the unity is also happening on the bad side as well.
Yeah, you're galvanizing those people.
Like those guys are, and I'm not going to say area and states and world, but the people that are bad, they have the tool of the internet just as much as the people of the good.
Yeah.
And so I think that the people of the good need to understand that their numbers will always outrank the numbers of the bad. They just have to, and they're doing it with the protests, they just have to be as loud, if not louder, and call these people out. But there has to be a reality that sets in at a certain point that the people of the good need to understand, like, you will never change the people of the bad.
Well, and I think
they're so stuck.
Yeah, and I think, and then that's kind of where the complication is. It's like, well, we have a society that's built with everybody in it, and how do you, if you have that bad seed, well, how do you make sure that bad seed doesn't get a job?
Yeah.
How do you make sure that bad seed doesn't become a cop, or doesn't become a politician, or doesn't become a teacher, or doesn't become, like, how do you
can't.
You can't. That's like right.
The equation is so complex.
Yeah. So if that's the case, it's like you have to snuff out, it's complicated, because it's like, well, you have a police force of 60,000.
Yeah.
And
bad eggs are going to get through.
And they're just going to get through. It's just like people are bad at everything. Like there's bad painters. There's bad, there's bad, like.
Well, it's not that they're bad at their job. It's that they're a bad person.
But I mean,
they're a personality.
But in the case of a police officer, being a bad person makes you bad at your job.
So here's this interesting thing.
So there, right?
And so I just watched another podcast, listened to another podcast, and they had Ronnie Coleman. I don't know if you know who Ronnie Coleman is, Mr. Olympia winner, bodybuilder.
Okay.
Like, the guy was like,
yeah.
He was a police officer, massive dude, like massive dude. And so he gets asked the question. He's like, back in your day, like we're talking like the 80s and 90s, right? Like back in your day, like, what do you see the problem is today that you guys maybe not necessarily had back then? And he made some really good points. He's like, A, you couldn't become a police officer unless you had a 4-year degree. So you were educated.
Right.
So B, he's like, the training standards back then were pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Right?
Like they were taught proper defense. And I'm not saying that police officers nowadays aren't taught proper defense, but I think that it was the qualification to become a police officer and be responsible for upholding the law. The qualifications were so much higher and the standards were so much higher that I think you saw less of what we're seeing today.
You think? I don't know. I feel like there was more back then.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, this is from one, and I'll point out really quickly, like Ronnie Coleman, he's a black man.
Yeah.
And so he's he was on the side of the fence that he's on the other side of the fence that everyone's fighting right now. Mm-hmm. And there will always be the mistake, and both sides. No, it's not both sides. The good side has to make sure that they're not painting with a brush as well.
Right. Because I think they're in some ways they're.
If both sides are painting everybody with the same brush, then that's where
I feel like that's what's that's what I feel the big problem is, that it's that, you're it's like it's the wrong conversation to say there should be no police. Okay, when the conversation but I mean when the conversation should be, how do you make the police better?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Like that's how do you that's a good point.
Where along the way, because at the end of the day, like you said, I mean, you only that job sucks.
And that's what Coleman said. He's like people garbage. Don't understand how hard that job is.
And so why would you would only be doing it if you were trying to make your community better and trying to do the right thing. That's like you know what I mean?
You ain't going into it for the money.
No, you're not doing it for the money, and you're not doing it for the great hours, and
which is crazy. Like, and that has always fascinated me about job selection by individuals on just like what their motivation was. Like, so when you look at a police officer, he's saying like,
or fireman, or
40, 50 grand a year, and their life is online. They're being spit on all the time. Yeah. Like, so the argument or the question is like, do you have some screws loose already to go into that job?
Yeah.
Or are you so much of an avenger or like of a good person that you truly believe you can make the difference?
Yeah. And it's like, yes.
And I think there's some of those people out there that just want the world to be good and that there's bad people that need to be stopped and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's more psych evals before somebody goes in, or it's more, I don't know. Like, I don't training, know what the answer is. Like,
it's like the military, like they talk about the training that like a SEAL goes through, where they literally like break you.
Yeah.
Like they break your psyche.
Yeah.
And then they rebuild you and program you like a robot.
Yeah.
Like they really do that, where you can walk into situations and not fear for the bullet that might come around the corner and take you out. I don't know if it has to go that far, because I mean, another part of the conversation is all these police officers generally have families. Like it doesn't matter what they're...
I just feel like I think one of the realities of it, and I think it's important, is like there's a picture painted with what's going on right now, that the police are like kind of out on the streets, walking around, driving around, kind of as like a permanent presence, like that. But I mean, if you walk around Edmonton, you'll go days without even seeing a police car.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Because realistically, and the police only are involved when there's crimes being
committed. The shit's hit the
like,
fan,
I mean, they're
right?
only, they have to be called.
Yeah.
Like they have to be, if they pull you over, you were speeding, or, like if you're pulled over, there's sort of like there's a, and again, because we're speaking only in generalities, because that's but it's like, but if in general, there needs to be some kind of infraction committed to even get them like in the conversation, that's changed. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like,
and the argument that I've heard, because I've brought this up with some people as well, and the argument that I've heard against that is they're like, yes, that maybe here in Canada, maybe here in Edmonton, but there's still because of the big conversation is like the white privilege. So like we don't get, you and I might not get pulled over because, maybe we didn't do our signal light or whatever. But if we were of a person of color or ethnicity, we probably would get pulled over had we not used our signal light, and the cops saw that. So like they're looking, like they're more, and again, this is not all cops. This is an individual that has a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
That does this. not because I think there's it's a 10-to-1 ratio.
Oh, it's probably a
100-to-1 ratio.
It's 100-to-1.
Yeah, if I mean 1,000-to-1 ratio on the good to bad cops. Like there's more good than bad, but that one with the racial profiling,
well, I mean that the one involved, the one in all of them that were involved, all 3 cops involved in the actual original incident.
Yeah,
but the one that had
well, he did the deed.
Yeah, like he had a record like the length of your arm. He had like I think it was 15 or 18 counts of complaints against him, and it's sort of like then that's where you go back to like the the actual sort of structural problems.
The system.
Where you say, okay, well, if you were in any job.
Yeah, if you had, it's like a 3-strike thing on any job. Like if you've got 20, then the system is broken.
And the thing is too, it's like even if an inquiry analyzes those situations and finds that you were within your means or whatever. You're legally not responsible. Yeah. But when you look at the sheer number, you're like, what is this cop
this
doing?
Guy's got a problem.
He's got like what is he doing to either put himself in those situations? Maybe there's a training problem, or there's a psychological problem, or maybe he's putting himself in those situations. He's combative. Maybe it's how he talks. And it's just like not everybody can be a guidance counselor. Like because it's like how do you because you obviously have a and I see a lot of these videos, and I mean I think honestly a big problem is people don't know how to communicate.
I agree 100%. Yeah. I agree that like the messaging that police anybody sends, right? Like if I show up to have a conversation with you, but I'm holding a baseball bat,
you're automatic.
The situation is significantly different.
And
if I show up to a peaceful protest, but I'm wearing combat tactical gear and I've got a beanbag shotgun strapped to my hip, I don't give a shit if you're the friendliest person on the planet.
You're agitated.
Your interpretation of the situation is going to drastically change.
And it isn't, it isn't. But the other thing too that I mean,
this we're getting it's so complicated.
So deep, but
because then you get like there was nothing that upset me more than when I saw the protests 2 or 3 days into this whole scenario, and there is a woman, a shop owner, and she's been looted twice in her place. So she had gotten through COVID-19, had been shut down for the last 3 months. She's an independent shop owner, a young black woman. Protesters, and they have the video footage. These guys are smashing in, throwing them for nothing. And so, when they're lighting streets on fire and stuff like that, those people aren't there to communicate a message. Those people, there's that group of people.
Well, there's
that
3
group
groups.
of people is not far off from the guy who committed the crime
absolutely.
that started the whole thing. Like they're pretty close.
No,
they're looking for the excuse to just well, they want to wreck shit.
Well, there's 3 in any situation like that. There's 3 distinct groups of people. There's the original protesters who are there for the right reason, for the cause, and also simply protesting. Then you have the people with an ulterior agenda.
I call them opportunists.
No, that's the 3rd group.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I think you have the 2nd group who are legitimately, they're the anti-establishment people, quite frankly, and I don't care about saying this on, so I'm sorry, but the socialists, like the people who just don't want our society to be what it is anymore. Right? The anarchists, like everybody who has an agenda that they carry around with them everywhere they go. And then you have the like shitty human beings who are
they caused the problem in the first place.
Who are and they're the opportunists, they're the criminals, they're the people that like, I would have stolen something anyway.
Right.
But this is just so much easier because the police have been ordered.
They're preoccupied.
Preoccupied, or the police are 6 blocks that way or whatever. So I'll just take that opportunity, right? And that's where you see the videos, the pictures, people just...
Oh, yeah, like I saw people smashing like music stores and walking out with like 4 guitars, like 2 in each hand. And they're clothes, like
TVs.
It's just like...
I mean, and it's like at that point, and I think for the and this includes the protesters, for the law-abiding people.
Yeah.
Though the media and the government and the policymakers and just society in general should be able to, in their minds, distinguish what's going on and deal with it accordingly, you know? And it's like, and then you're putting the police in the most horrible situation, because
at the end of the day, the police are in the middle of it all.
An impossible task, because
they're being fought against.
Yes.
But then they need to stop the people that are problems.
Yeah.
But they're told not to do anything, and then like, especially like when you see some of these looters are people of color or ethnicity. So then if you got, you know, these cops going into there to stop it's just like,
it's a total mess. You can't fix this. No, like, and it's like, what do you? So that's right, because you're talking about the tactical gear and the beanbag shotgun, and it's like, well, yeah, because I needed my beanbag shotgun last night because a guy was firebombing a store.
Right.
So it's like, and then you get called, okay, there's a protest here tonight. Well, what do? You bring your beanbag shotgun, because you're like, well,
I'm not going to get outnumbered. Like, because I mean, the police will always be outnumbered.
Yeah,
there's more civilians than there are police. And so if the temperature of that mob is on the wrong side, the 50 cops over here against the 1,000 people over here, don't have a chance in hell.
No, regardless. Like, and
so beanbag shotguns and tactical gear, like, you just, I don't know, like, it's just, anyway.
Yeah.
So that's, again, thanks a lot, 2020.
Yeah.
And then we get into this whole disbanding of the police, and let's talk about Seattle.
Yeah.
And what is it called again?
Chaz. The Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. They've just
it stands for. I didn't know it stood for
Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, because
okay.
it's the Capitol Hill region of Seattle. So I mean, and again, we will have to.
Is this comedy, or is it?
I don't know if it's satire. Like, that's the thing, is like.
And for viewers, if you can see, the reason that we've got the backdrop of chaos here, like this is
Mad Max.
The Mad Max, Thunderdome scenario, because that's 2020 right now. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's going on in this Road Warrior 6 or 7 blocks of Seattle.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting experiment.
Now, I haven't followed up with anything since yesterday, and I mean, stuff in 12 hours changes so quickly.
It does. I checked the news this morning. It's okay. So all right. So Fox News says it's Thunderdome in there. Right? So Fox News says there's, it's a complete lawless insanity. There's roaming gangs. They're being ridiculous. They're running out of food. They're walking around with guns. CNN says they're doing a block party. and so again, what is it? What is it? It's probably in the middle.
But there's got to be footage coming from out of there. Like, there's got to be kids on cell phones shooting video and posting to their YouTube video.
One tweet which was deleted was from somebody who said, like, we've run out of food, help. Like,
and it was deleted.
And they later deleted it. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. But
I mean, common sense would dictate that would happen, and pretty quickly.
Yeah, common sense would dictate. That's right. That's true. If you're blocking trucks and delivery,
supplies,
what's left.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So, and then.
What's ironic?
Who's leading this?
That's exactly it. There's like a communal, like, they're making decisions kind of like together.
So they've like created their own government.
Well, I don't know.
Like, see, like, that's the thing that I don't get about these kinds of, like, a scenario like this. I mean, because we've only ever seen it in movies. I mean, look at Lord of the Flies, right? Yeah. I mean, when something happens, an alpha will step up. And then he or she will have their followers.
All this, like, I mean, and I guess that's the reality of it, is like, I think human nature is built in.
Right.
I think that's what it is. And so if you have a power vacuum, it's inevitable that because humans need to operate on that hierarchical level because everybody's different and everybody has different skills and everybody wants different things. So
we say nature because lions do the same thing.
You know,
like you always have your king. You always, it's built into our DNA.
Yeah, like it is because that's just how it is. Like it's just inevitable. If there's 6 people in the room, nothing gets done unless somebody says, okay, so like this is what the agenda is.
Yep. That's exactly.
And on that small level, even on that like sort of, you know, somebody has to say something to take charge and somebody has to agree to go along with it. Otherwise, what happens? So something's going on in there. I mean, hopefully in the next day, we kind of get a clearer picture, but it's weird. It's weird.
Well, yeah. Cause I mean, like, you know, like Dana White says it where he's like, you know, back in like prehistoric times, 2 guys got in a fight and 10 people gathered to watch who was going to win. And then typically the guy who won is the guy they followed.
Yeah.
So, and like, I don't see, because our society is so complex and there's egos and all this sort of stuff. I don't know how that works in a 7-block radius I mean, like in a 7-block radius, there's got to be what? How many people?
I'm not sure how many people are
like, I mean,
involved.
if you're talking apartment buildings and there's like, you know, 100, sometimes 200 units in an apartment building in
well,
Seattle.
and then what's happening with so literally, like, I mean,
there's got to be a few thousand people in that.
And you're a normal person going, you know, who normally have just gone to work.
Yeah.
And you literally wake up the next day and you're barricaded in.
Yeah, you can't get.
And you can't get, you know, and then that's the cruel irony of it is that to do what these people want to do, they have to use the tactics that that the protest was about. So they're carding people. They're like frisking people. They're you know, there's apparently some kind of little bit of like sort of political like an inquisition going on inside where they're, you know, like, are you with us? Are you with us? Are you with them? Are you with the machine? Are you with the man? Or are you with? So what do you do? Like, you know, I just wanted to. We're not going to dive into it, but I guess this episode was just about. So this is where we are right now.
This is where we are.
And over the next few days, we're just gonna have to see what happens, and then we can talk about it. You know,
there's so much to talk about.
Like, I'm just waiting for the movie theaters to open up so I can get over this shit. Really, like, I just want to see 007. I just want to see the Black Widow. I just want to see, like, just God release those movies.
So we can just get lost in our own little world.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing we do have to talk about, not today, but we'll talk about it so people can have something to look forward to. But like, essentially, the government did admit that aliens exist.
They did, and nobody noticed.
And nobody noticed a single thing.
Nobody noticed.
And that's the shit I want to talk about. Because, like, yeah, there was like all these,
they released
like,
those like gun camera footage.
Gun camera, the UFOs. Yeah. And then there's these people talking about, and not a single eyebrow was raised.
Yep. That's messed up.
We need to discuss this. All right. That's all the time we have for today. Enjoy this little clip here for the weekend. We'll have this out. And like, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, YouTube.
We're gonna have a new home. We're gonna have a website.
We're gonna have a website. That's right. Yeah. So
there's something.
Let's we're off to the races here. Yeah. we're gonna kick this into high gear.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. We will until next week.
See you guys later.
Have a safe weekend. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.